Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going on a bit of a documentary-style journey into the human mind. Because, have you ever wondered why standard financial advice, stuff like just make a budget or buy low, sell high, almost never actually works in the real world? Well, today we're looking at exactly how our ancient biology is secretly sabotaging our modern bank accounts. We're going to see why just having the knowledge isn't enough, and how decoding the hidden mechanics of our own brains is the real secret to financial success. All right, let's just jump right in. So we're opening with this staggering paradox that behavioral economists see literally all the time. Think about this. How can a brilliant neurosurgeon, someone who spends their day navigating the absolute highest stakes imaginable with pure cold logic, turn around and make these hyper-emotional, totally irrational gambles in the stock market? It's wild, right? It totally defies common sense. I mean, if financial success was just about raw intelligence or analytical horsepower, every neurosurgeon would be a billionaire. But as we're about to see, the market doesn't really care about your IQ. And then there's Sarah. We're going to use Sarah as our recurring character today. She's a highly educated professional. She reads all the right financial blogs. She totally knows how a budget works. And she absolutely understands the math behind compound interest. And yet, she still consistently blows her budget. She buys high, she sells low. Look, we all know a Sarah. Actually, scratch that, a lot of us are Sarah. The crazy thing is, despite having all the right information, there's this massive behavioral gap between what she knows she's supposed to do and what she actually ends up doing. So the absolutely crucial point we're exploring in this explainer is that these financial missteps, they are not a failing of intelligence. Not at all. They are actually the result of a profound evolutionary mismatch. See, our brains were perfectly designed, fine-tuned over millions of years to survive a world of immediate physical threats and really scarce resources. But now, that primal biological wiring is colliding head-on with a modern world of intangible assets, digital credit, and decades-long retirement planning. It's like trying to run modern software on a computer from the Stone Age. Okay, let's move into Act 1, the mismatch, where we pit our ancient brain against modern finance. To really grasp this mismatch, we've got to look under the hood at the brain's operating system. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman showed us that our brains basically operate in two totally distinct gears. First, there's System 1. This one is fast, automatic, and super emotional. It's that gut reaction, the instinct driving impulsive moves, like, panic buying a tech stock purely out of FOMO. Then you have System 2. This is your slow, deliberate, analytical brain. It's the voice saying, hey, maybe let's dig into the quarterly earnings before we buy. But here's the catch. System 2 requires serious mental energy to actually fire up. And Kahneman's research reveals a really dangerous dynamic here, because managing money is inherently stressful, right? It's full of uncertainty, the stakes for our future are incredibly high, and that creates the absolute perfect storm for System 1 to take over. When we feel stressed or threatened by the market, our analytical System 2 just kind of takes a back seat. It leaves our ancient, hyper-emotional System 1 firmly in the driver's seat of our financial lives. Which brings us to Act 2, the exploitation. Let's see how the modern economy hacks our System 1. Now, it's bad enough that our brains are naturally mismatched for modern finance, but the modern economy is literally engineered to prey on this exact biological vulnerability. Take this cognitive bias known as mental accounting. Basically, we irrationally put our money into different mental buckets based on where it came from. We don't view money as just money. Because of this, it is so much easier for our character Sarah to just blow a $500 tax refund because she sees it as free windfall cash than it is for her to spend $500 she just earned from her paycheck, even though mathematically it's the exact same amount. And believe me, businesses know exactly how to weaponize these biases. Let's look at credit cards. It's actually kind of terrifying to realize they literally hack our System 1 brains through something called payment decoupling. When you swipe that card, you completely sever the joy of getting the item from the pain of paying for it. The consequences pushed off to next month. On top of that, credit cards lump all those individual purchases into one single bill. Psychologically speaking, taking one big hit at the end of the month just hurts way less than feeling the sting of 20 separate cash transactions.
We see this exact same exploitation in digital products and apps too. They exploit our blind spots using virtual currencies. By converting, say, $5 real into 500 shiny virtual gems, the app creates this mental separation. Your System 1 brain literally does not register those gems as real money, so you just spend them without a second thought. And it gets even crazier. AI-driven platforms can now dynamically adjust pricing to match exactly what your individual mental accounting thinks is a good deal, completely bypassing your analytical brain.
All right, on to Act 3, the override. Let's talk about why simply using willpower almost always fails. So if the whole system is rigged against our biology, why can't we just, try harder, dig deep? Well, first we have to look at the Scarcity Bandwidth Tax. When Sarah is stressing over a tight budget or a massive impending bill, it literally alters how her brain functions. That financial stress eats up her mental bandwidth, just draining her ability to focus. When you're financially stressed, you quite literally lack the cognitive capacity and the system-to energy required to make a sound, rational choice. Your brain is just tapped out. And then you have prospect theory from Kahneman and Amos Tversky, which outlines the intense asymmetry of loss aversion. Basically, the psychological agony of losing $500, it massively, massively outweighs the joy of gaining $500. Our brains are hardwired to fear loss way more than we value gains. And this right here, this is exactly why our brilliant neurosurgeon will abandon all logic and panic sell his entire portfolio during a temporary market dip. His ancient brain is just screaming at him to avoid the immediate threat of loss at all costs. Which brings us to a really profound insight from neuroscientist Dr. Judd. We are constantly told that financial discipline is just a matter of having enough willpower. But here's the thing. Willpower is a super fragile top-down force generated by the prefrontal cortex. It gets tired really fast. Meanwhile, your financial habits, they live down in the brain's ancient automatic reward system. Using conscious restraint to fight an automatic survival drive is a losing battle. It's like trying to stop a rushing river just by standing in front of it. The water is stronger, and it never, ever gets tired. Finally, Act 4, the update. How do we actually start working with our biology? So if willpower is a bust, how do we actually redesign our behavior to work with our biology instead of constantly fighting it? Dr. Judd suggests using reward-based learning through what he calls his 3 gears. Gear 1, map the habit loop. Find the trigger, the behavior, and the reward. Gear 2, get curious. When Sarah gets the urge to make an impulsive buy, she shouldn't beat herself up. She should just pay close attention to how the stress of that purchase actually feels in her body right then. By observing that a toxic financial habit doesn't actually feel good, her brain naturally updates its own reward signals. You don't have to force it. Once your brain realizes the so-called reward is a total illusion. We're also starting to see this in how modern platforms are being redesigned. Vanguard Research has a perfect example with their Min Tax prompt. Instead of expecting everyday investors to manually calculate all these complex tax efficiencies, which, let's face it, requires a ton of exhausting System 2 processing, they just embed a cost-aware prompt right into the trading screen. It automatically defaults the investor into the optimal choice without demanding any extra cognitive load. This is empathetic design in action, acknowledging our human limitations and just gently nudging us toward a better outcome. Ultimately, this leads us right into step 3 of Dr. Judd's gears. Finding the bigger, better offer. By leveraging positive nudges, stuff like auto-enrolling in retirement plans or setting up automated invisible savings, we completely bypass the friction of daily choices. We're giving our ancient reward system a brand new, infinitely more satisfying reward. The compounding peace of mind, the time freedom, and the wealth accumulation that just steadily grows in the background over the years. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to take away from our explainer today. We spend so much time trying to be these purely rational, emotionless robots when it comes to our money, but the truth is, intelligence alone isn't going to save your portfolio. You can't change your biology, but once you stop fighting it, once you truly understand your own biases and design your environment around them, you can finally start using that ancient wiring to build a seriously wealthy future. So the next time you feel this sudden urge to make a big financial move, just take a breath and ask yourself, is this my intellect making a strategic choice? Or is this just my ancient brain trying to outrun a tiger?